What's going on, my dudes? So today we're going to be doing a review of the SE Project exhaust, and I'll tell you guys exactly what I think about it. I've had the exhaust on the bike probably for about 400 or 500 miles, and you've probably already seen the track video that I just recently posted, so you know exactly what it sounds like when the GoPro is here. However, in this video I'm going to describe everything about this exhaust from the time that it starts to the time I'm finished riding this absolute crazy beast. But first, check out this amazing view. Let's throw a leg over this beast and turn it on, and I'll describe to you what this thing sounds like. Best way I can describe it is that this thing wakes up the dead. Firing this thing up, you better be prepared. In terms of loudness, when you start this up for the first time, if you're coming from the stock exhaust, from a scale of 1 to 10, the stock exhaust I would say is probably rated at, I would give it a 4 in terms of loudness. And then I would give this exhaust something like a 10 or an 11 because that's how freaking loud this thing is. And if you thought that your RSV4 was already exciting, you have absolutely no idea what you're missing out. Because once you put this exhaust on, everything goes up to level 10. So when I had the SE Project exhaust installed on my Street Triple, it was the CRT, I believe, or something like that. I think it was louder than the one I have right now. Except on my Street Triple, it was unbearable. The Street Triple, I think the sound was more raspier, but on this, it's more deeper and louder. And just like the RSV4, at that time I had a whole bunch of exhausts, and I ended up choosing the Leoventia exhaust, which I still have to this day on the motorcycle. It sounds absolutely beautiful. But with the RSV4, I'm really satisfied with the sound that it makes. It's loud. Depending on who you ask, it could be obnoxious, because if you don't like loud motorcycles, then this is definitely not the exhaust for you. However, you would expect that from a motorcycle like an RSV4, right? It's a liter bike, it's got 217 horsepower, it's got these huge wings in the front. I think it's meant to sound like an animal, and I think the CRT exhaust complements it very well. Normally with an exhaust like this you would expect to wear headphones, but believe it or not, with my Shoei RF1500 or 1400, I think it's the 1500, it's a pretty quiet helmet, and I ride pretty comfortably in it, but whenever I take this bike on the track, definitely headphones, because past 8,000, 9,000 RPMs, and this thing, like I mentioned before, is wake the dead loud. But on the street, I rarely take it up to 8,000, 9,000 RPM. Well, maybe I do, depending on how long of a straight I see in front of me. But that's rarely the case. And if I do, it's probably for like 5-10 seconds at most. Because as you know, this thing is a freaking beast, man. 5 seconds of 8,000, 9,000 RPM, and you're already at 150 miles an hour. Now, I've never heard someone else ride my bike, so I don't exactly know what this thing sounds like, besides just riding it myself. But I have seen videos of it, and I think 650 Eve did a video where he's just going through the gears lightly, and you can hear little spitty sounds. And that's one of my favorite things. And when I ride this bike in a street like where I am right now, and I'm cycling through the gears, anywhere between 2,000 and 3,000, maybe 4,000 RPM, I do hear like little spits. And it sounds absolutely magnificent, and I love it. Besides that, sometimes when you give this thing that little rev that I gave it at 2,000-3,000 RPM, you will hear a pop back there. Good for those situations where you need to alert other drivers that I'm coming through. Get out of my way! There were cops back there before. I was like, oh shit, they got me. It's a good thing they weren't there. Woo. Like that. Oh, did you hear that pop? That's magnificent right there. Everything that the RSV4 stands for, power, agility, all this fancy electronics, it's nothing without sounding like the way it is right now. And I'm being 100% honest. When I first got this bike, it sounded freaking dope. I was like, damn, this is unbelievable. How is a bike like this, out from the factory showroom, sound this good? How did they get away with it with this Euro 5 emissions nonsense? Woo! But you know what? I had absolutely no idea that adding an exhaust on this motorcycle with an SC Project exhaust and the one I had before this will make the bike sound like an absolute animal. Now the caveat is, if you live in one of those really quiet suburban neighborhoods, you know, like the fancy ones where everybody's home is like $2 million, it's kind of dicey to wake up in the morning, get out of your garage, and then turn this bike on. The whole neighborhood will know that it's you. You are going to become public enemy number one. But if you're someone like me who parks the bike in a storage unit, it doesn't really matter. You can go any time of the day or night, perhaps, and turn this bike on and enjoy it. That's just one of the things you have to watch out for, because it will annoy your neighbors. And forget about revving this thing. Don't even try. Not in your own neighborhood, at least. As soon as you start it, get the hell out, and as soon as you come back, turn this thing off ASAP. If you want to be in good terms with your neighbors. How is a bike like this legal to buy? I don't understand. If this thing doesn't make you laugh, then you have no sense of humor. Oh my goodness. Installing this exhaust has a couple of benefits. Benefit number one, it looks absolutely beautiful. This thing is full titanium and carbon fiber, the one I chose at least. But I think there's another version as well. It may or may not be any cheaper, but I prefer the carbon fiber because it just matches with everything. As you saw in the beginning of this video, the area where it connects to the mid-pipe, it gets blue. So strong indication of the titanium. But besides that, the exhaust only weighs 1.7 pounds when you're holding it in your hand. It feels very light.
This thing literally weighs nothing. It is so light you can barely feel it in your hand.
Naturally, it saves a lot of weight off the motorcycle, with the stock exhaust being about 14.5 pounds, if my memory serves me, and the SC Project is 1.7 pounds. You do the math, or I'll put it on the screen, about how much weight you lose. If you've been keeping up with my RSV4 shenanigans, all the installations I've done, the weight savings of the mirrors, the exhaust, and a whole bunch of other stuff like the tail tidy, I've saved a considerable amount of weight to date. So if you haven't watched all my RSV4 videos, I'll put a link down in the description below for the entire playlist, so make sure to go check it out. Overall, I freaking love this exhaust, and I think it's worth every single penny. Not only does it save you weight, but it sounds like an absolute animal, the way a motorcycle like this should sound, you know? Like, you take a look at a picture of a motorcycle like this, and then you put out a survey. On a scale of 1 to 10, how loud do you think this motorcycle is? No one is going to say it sounds quiet. Everyone is going to say this thing sounds loud because it looks mean, it looks fast, etc, etc. And for a bike like an RSV4, I think this SC Project exhaust does it justice. And lastly, you guys might be wondering if this motorcycle is tuned. So no, it is not tuned, and I'm very well aware that I need to tune it. The guys over at Brent Tuning offered to tune the bike for free, and then I'll report back to you guys what this thing feels like, if it's any different, and if it matches the kind of power that they talk about in their video. But as of right now, if you're curious to find out if you can run the bike without a tune, yes, it's very possible. And I still have the servo inside of the motorcycle, but it's not going to last there too long, because I did order a servo delete kit. It's a small little device that you plug into the servo harness, and then you won't have an alarm anymore about not having a servo for your exhaust. So that, along with the tune, will be done pretty soon. My favorite place of all, the beach. It's pretty here. Can't blame me, right? It's a pretty place to come to. And look how beautiful this SC Project exhaust looks on the bike. Low profile, carbon fiber exterior, titanium pipe, weighs 1.7 pounds, and looks and sounds the absolute business. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you on the next episode. Peace!